Most men live like they're prisoners today, and they don't even realize it. Their chains aren't iron, they're invisible. They're told what to want, what to chase, and what to sacrifice. And by the time they wake up in their middle age, their entire life belongs to someone else. In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to hand you the keys to your destiny. It took me 30 years to figure out what I'm about to share with you, and I'm going to break down the 7 lies keeping you trapped, and then that one secret that set me free. But before we get there, here's what I learned on my journey. Society doesn't want you free. It wants you compliant and exhausted. The men who break out, they're the ones who dare to carve their own path. And they're the ones who end up with everything. It's truly a winner-takes-all world. They get the freedom, the wealth, and they have purpose. By the end of this video, you're going to know exactly how to escape the filter that's designed to keep you in line. Lie number 1 is the illusion of the conveyor belt life. See, we're sold the fantasy of a school, job, marriage, mortgage, retirement, and ultimately the grave. It is a conveyor belt of mediocrity. If you think about it, you're not living. You're just ticking off boxes. Think about it. Have you ever felt like your desires aren't even yours? Maybe you woke up in the middle of the night in a panic and thought, wow, it's just being spoon-fed to me by my family, these institutions, my peers, my friends, and authority figures. That's exactly what happened. Society hands you a script, and if you dare to go off that script, you're labeled a failure. But here's the twist. The conveyor belt life is the biggest scam of them all. And the men who win, they zig when everyone else zags. In a minute, I'm going to tell you why every paycheck is secretly designed to keep you broke. Lie number 2 is the income trap. See, your boss doesn't pay you for your work. He pays you just enough to quit on your dreams. And every hour you trade away, you're giving up your real currency. I'm talking about your life force, your time, your energy, and your passion, not these digits on screens of our modern lives. You're convinced to sacrifice freedom for stability. That might be the worst exchange in history. But what's stable about spending 40 to 50 years anyways, making someone else rich? Imagine you're a founder. You break out and you just want to build. You want to start a company. You don't want to fill out HR, compliance, chase lawyers, and spend 6 hours inside of a tax portal. You want to ship a product. You want to solve problems. You want to watch strangers on the internet use something that you created out of thin air. But instead of building, you're trapped in email chains with your payroll provider. You're explaining to an insurance agent why your team doesn't need the same limited liability structure as a Fortune 500 company. Or maybe you're forced to play accountant, lawyer, HR, manager, and IT, wearing all these different hats. Every click of this paperwork pulls you in further from the reason that you started your startup. You're not innovating. You're babysitting bureaucracy. And the system is designed that way. It's built to smother the guy who wants to move fast because speed is dangerous to the people who run the machine. That's the world we're all living in. It's a system where documentation is more important than doing. It's a gigantic bureaucracy. And it gets worse because even outside of work, you've been conditioned to document instead of to live. Let's talk about lie number 3. This is documenting versus living. Think about it. You didn't start your company to file expense reports, update CRM software providers, and build decks that no one is going to read. But somehow that's what our days look like. It's just full of busy work. And you're not building, you're documenting. You're not innovating, you're reporting. You've become a chronicler of your own grind, not the creator that you want to be. That's not progress. It's about proving you're busy. See, an organism adapts and evolves. But in organization, it checks boxes, it fills out forms, and it moves paperwork around. Benjamin Franklin hated this, and he was the definition of a founder before the word startup founder even existed. By only 23 years old, he owned his own printing press. Think of that like a ancient app. And he published a newspaper. It was called Poor Richard's Almanac, and that sold tens of thousands of copies a year. He didn't wait for permission. He didn't beg investors and venture capitalists. He spotted a need. He built fast, and then he shipped. Now imagine Franklin trapped in today's bureaucracy. Instead of writing, printing, and selling, he'd be drowning in permits, IP filings, compliance audits, working with regulators. He'd spend more time justifying his existence than actually creating. Franklin's brilliance, though, wasn't that he was the smartest guy in the room. After all, he was rejected by Harvard University. It was that he executed without friction. He failed. He iterated and he scaled ideas before the red tape ever caught up. That's what real entrepreneurship looks like. It's building while everyone else is still filling out forms. And most founders, they live like organizations, not organisms. They're cold, they're mechanical, and unfortunately, ultra predictable. That's why you feel burned out at the end of your day. Not because you're working too hard, but because you're working on the wrong things. Line number 4 is the death of trust. Everyone knows we've lost our trust in our society. I mean, cameras are watching us, algorithms are tracking us, cookies are being asked nonstop to be installed on our browsers and our devices. Everyone's suspicious of everyone else, even down to our IP addresses and all the VPN ads. But history shows us that trust, not control, is what builds true greatness. Think about the Wright brothers. They didn't have an MBA. They didn't have government contracts or multi-million-dollar funding. They were just two simple bicycle mechanics who trusted each other so deeply they risked their lives in every test flight that they took. Their partnership was built on true brotherhood, not bureaucracy. And they gave us aviation. Or think of the great explorer Ernest Shackleton. Maybe you've heard of him. He was a polar explorer. And when his ship Endurance was trapped in the Antarctic ice, survival came down to one thing and one thing alone. It was trust. It was just him and his crew who followed him because he earned that trust. And he did it against impossible odds. And every single man on the Endurance survived. That's the paradox. People who are trusted rise to that trust. And people who are treated horribly eventually act horribly. This is why real brotherhoods feel so alive. They're built on trust, not control. And this brings us to the question, the one that changes everything. And let's jump right into it. It's line number 5. This could be the question that saves your life. You need to forget society's script, forget your parents' high expectations, and forget your friends' approval. Ask yourself a simple question. What do I want? History's greatest men all asked that same exact question. Socrates didn't chase wealth or political office. He chose a life of philosophy, even when it cost him his freedom. His want was truth. Nikola Tesla turned down fortunes because his desire wasn't luxury. He didn't want to live in a mansion like his peers, like J.P. Morgan. He wanted to invent, and he died in poverty. But he left behind ideas that power the modern world, and we're all, as a species, internally grateful to him. The next lie is needs versus desires. Marcus Aurelius was emperor of Rome. He was the most powerful man on the earth at that time. He could have swarmed himself in palaces, women, wine, and gold. But what did he write about in his famous book, Meditations? He wrote about stoicism, living simply, resisting vanity, focusing only on what matters. Now, contrast that with most of the men today. They're not emperors, not even close to Marcus Aurelius' status, but they chase endless shiny objects and trophies of materialism. They do it to stuff they don't even want. Diogenes was a Greek philosopher, but he lived in a barrel with nothing but a simple cloth around his shoulders. Alexander the Great once met him, and he said, "What can I do for you, great Diogenes?" And Diogenes replied, "Can you please step out of my sunlight?" Isn't that incredible? The thing he asked the most powerful man of the time was to stop blocking the sun. He had nothing, but he felt richer than the most powerful man of his time. That's the danger. Your status measured by consumption, not creation, will never fill you in this life. The next lie is propaganda of desire. Look at how schools raise kids. It's not by wise elders, but by peers. And they're all enforcing the same shallow script ad nauseum. In ancient Rome, young men were trained to crave power, wealth, and spectacle. Bread and circuses kept them distracted, while a handful of senators controlled the empire's heart. Sounds familiar, right? Today, though, it's not Rome's Colosseums, it's sports, celebrity, gossip, and social media lifestyles. The propaganda, though, is the same from ancient Rome to today. It convinces you that desire equals identity. You are what you desire. But if your desires are manufactured, then your identity is manufactured too. So listen up. Here's your escape plan. You need to commit to a defiant act of freedom. This is how you escape the trap that society has laid for you. You stop playing their game, you opt out, and history shows us men who did exactly that. Henry David Thoreau walked away from society and built a cabin at Walden Pond to live by his own answers. And his journal that he wrote, it still inspires men to this day. Leonardo da Vinci refused to be boxed in. He was an artist, an engineer, and an inventor. He defied the script of his time and he created a life on his own terms. Freedom starts the moment you pause and question your script. Because the truth is this, the world is waiting for your real answers, your real contribution, not your school's indoctrination, not your boss's answers, not society's answers. It wants your answers. But most men will keep living someone else's life until the day that they die. They'll keep chasing goals they don't want, documenting lifestyles online that they don't live, and trading freedom for chains that they cannot see, but not you. You've got a choice right now to stop following, to stop consuming, to stop living by someone else's design. The man who wins isn't the man who plays by the rules. It's the man who writes his own ethically. So here's your challenge. Tonight or today, whenever you're watching this all over the world, sit down and write out exactly what you want. Not filtered, not approved. I want it raw and real. Because once you know that, without a filter, nobody, not society, not any one of your authority figures can stop you. I'm going to see you in the trenches. Great things are coming your way. Click right here to watch my last video. And don't forget to punch that subscribe button because you're going to be joining the most aspirational community on YouTube. I'll see you guys there.